Now, 99% of golfers start their downswing with their hips completely wrong. It results in some nasty shots like shanks, pure mishits, and not hitting the ball as far or straight as you should do. To get this nice 1% hip rotation, like we see all the top players in the world, you have to avoid these three main mistakes that I see you all do, and these couple of drills at the end, which are absolutely going to be perfect for getting you turning the hips properly. So I'm coming to you here at Tee to Green in Ayr in South Ayrshire in Scotland. Let's get straight to the first point. So first one here, and that is using your right side to start the hip rotation. So this is number one cause of poor hip rotation. So I'm going to start it here with my right side of my hip, pushing it towards the golf ball. Look what happens to my ball. So pulled it hugely left. So why that happened for me, and this is why a lot of golfers shank the golf ball as well when they try to clear their hips. Because if I use my right side first, that's going to put the club more on the outside. Because if I move that right side forward, of course, my club is going to follow that and it's going to go on the outside of the ball line, most likely on the later portion of the downswing, chop a little bit out to win. So when I do that, my club face follows that and sometimes gets a little bit close, because when we push that right hip forward to really get that hip rotation, it actually slows down your rotation going through impact. You might get that look like you're really clearing the hips, but that's the amount of rotation you're going to get. You're not going to continue to work it from there, otherwise you're going to hit the ball absolutely terribly. So for me, that really slows down my rotation and makes me really flippy through the impact area. So like we said, we could hit horrible shots like that with that just dead chunk off the toe that I just hit there. But like we said, shanks can easily happen when that right side goes forward. That gets the hosel exposed because it pushes everything, like we said, on the outside of the ball line. Not ideal. So we get exactly how to do this at the end of the video with the good drills. So let's get into the second thing that golfers are getting wrong when they're starting the downswing with their hips. Now the second here is actually very similar to the first. It has the same effect, and that is pushing off with the right side. So a lot of golfers physically try to push with their right side. Now, of course, like myself, right-handed golfer, it feels way more instinctual to use that right side of the body to be able to fire and push off. But you'll get the exact same effect with one other little difference. If we're pushing off to start off that downswing, we're not only going to have all the negatives that we just saw from the first point, but we're actually also going to early extend. Because when we're pushing that right side off early, pushing out the ground too early with that right leg, that's going to move the pelvis towards the golf ball and extend the spine. So we're going to end up hitting these really horrible kind of high wig shots. As you can see, that one was a lot shorter than the one I just used and spun out my right side first. So both of these points also on, with the faults that they're giving, like the first one and here with the extra early extension. I mean, look again, absolutely terrible shot. Yeah, absolutely, as we see, kills our power. So not at all what we want. So power and control absolutely gone. There is one more thing that we see a lot of golfers do as a mistake as well. So the third mistake golfers are making, starting the downswing of their hips, they might keep that right side at bay, which is what we want to do. We'll get into exactly how to do it properly, but we see golfers bumping their hips to start off that downswing, that big hip bump. So with that big hip bump, that's going to cause a lot of issues because a lot of golfers try to bump and then turn. We do not, under any circumstance, want to do that because we will get the bump, we won't get the turn. So what's going to happen? When you bump the hips to start off with, the upper body immediately falls away. So falls away from the target. See how the middle of my chest gets on my right leg? Look at the club as I demonstrate that. Really drops on the inside. So a lot of you might be thinking, great, I want to shallow the shaft. That's why I'm doing that move. But if you are having that club really dump under from the upper body falling back from bumping the hips too much, you're not going to be able to make that shallow shaft work. Shallowing the shaft is there for us to be able to turn through the golf ball. So that neutralizes that path. If we don't turn after shallowing, we're just going to have a very excessive in-to-out path. So that one there, oh, look at the shape on that. So I actually started it a tiny bit right and see the big curvature on there. So when we bump and the upper body moves backwards, I can't turn from there. It actually, I start to feel a bit of pain in the lower back. That's why loads of you think that rotating hurts your back. It's only because you're doing it improperly. If we're doing it with bumping and then try to turn, like I said, you're going to get the bump, you're not going to get the turn. Because being in this really stressed position of the lower spine, you're not going to turn from there because your body is always trying to protect itself. That subconscious brain is trying to stop pain from happening. So that's where, if you're in a very stressful position at the fastest point of the golf swing where you're told to then turn after the bump, you're not even remotely going to do that. You're just going to dump it and hit that shot that I just hit there. Huge turn, missing the green every time. Now guys, I actually have 3 separate drills here. So each one of these drills will help you with whatever one of those 3 you suffer with. And if you suffer with all of them, any one of these drills will actually help you a ton. So drill number 1, classic chair or stool drill. So just have anything here that is slightly behind you. Let's say half a grip's distance. So it could be a chair, could be a stool, could be a golf bag, could be a big box, anything that's right there. Because what we want to do, like we said with the first point, using that right side first, which is one of the big reasons why so many golfers believe that turning the hips is going to get them stuck. Because if they get that right side moving forward, like we know, everything's going to then be stuck behind. The arm hasn't moved, but the right side's moved forward, getting me stuck. Turning the hips properly gets you unstuck. It keeps everything moving out in front. Because with this drill, if we're keeping that right side back, so as I'm turning back, I'm wanting my right hip to touch this stool or get close to it. And then I've got a lot of space to cover between my left hip now and the stool. So I want to cover that space. What that does, you can see that gets the arms moving more out in front. Why does that happen? That gets you into hip flexion. This is what we see the 1% of golfers do. They get into hip flexion when they start to clear those hips first. So that's where if I can get my right side back, keep my right side relatively back, but get that left hip going back there, that's getting, of course, pelvis flexing, upper body moves down, keeps you down in your posture. Now, the right side of the hip will start to move forward in relation to here, but in space, it's not moving closer to the golf ball. The lead hip is leading there. So that's really the big key here. The left side, the lead side, is what moves us into a correct downswing hip rotation. You cannot get stuck if you're getting that left hip moving back, right side staying relatively back. Moves into flexion, arms get out in front. That's why it's absolute rubbish when someone says he's turned the hips too much. Absolutely not, just doing it improperly. So here we go. This is why all top tour players at the moment are talking about left hip back. Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, for example, all talking about this move. So make sure I'm getting closer to this or hitting it with a small gap with that chair. And what we can see there, immediately I did a nice little soft one just to make sure that I'm staying on there, but immediately so much straighter. So drill number 2 focuses on the right side pushing forward. So same concept as before, we want that right side to stay back. We don't necessarily want to do any pushing. We do push out the left side at the end of the swing, but that'll be a topic for another video. So, okay, here we go. We have something like a swing plate or just an alignment stick. So me being here, again, tee to green in Scotland in a nice TrackMan facility. I can't necessarily stick a stick out the ground like if you're in a nice grass range. So that's where you'd need something like a swing plate here. So this is a really cool drill. One of my favorites for many, many reasons. Because if we set this up to where this swing plate, there's a link in the description for a discount code of this also, put it about 4 fingers in front of your right knee. It'd also be in front of your left. If you push and fire, you're going to hit that stick. So this would be where we see all the top players in the world. There would be, bar a few, kind of outliers out there, like a Colin Morikawa or a Justin Thomas, for example. They have other moves that they match up to make pushing forward work. So that's where if we keep ourselves back, we're not going to be pushing forward like we see all those top pros. That's going to encourage us to keep the right side passive, but then to move the left. This uses that subconscious part of the brain really, really well. And I always like drills that use your subconscious because then it takes out less space. You know, you got a lot more room just to be comfortable. So let me get this in position. There we go. So all I'm going to make sure I'm doing is not hitting it with my right knee. So 4 fingers in front, that's all we need to do. So for me, I don't necessarily struggle with this with my own golf swing, but this already feels very daunting. So be warned from there. So again, I'm just going to do a nice soft one to start off with. Just making sure, again, nice and gentle, little draw on it, but that is hitting the green nicely. So Why start slow, like I have done with those two drills? Because we want to make sure that we're actually performing the movement. If we go full speed straight away, we're just going to do our old movement pattern. So again, 4 fingers in front. Let's get this in position. There we go. So the TrackMan reads it. Lovely. Now, just make sure I'm not hitting this with my right knee. And then, of course, the left knee's good. Left hip's going to be going back. Lovely. So nice and smooth. Again, just nice and straight as a result. One of the big keys in this sport is keeping that left hip moving back and keeping the right side at bay when you turn your hips in your downswing. Okay, so drill number 3. This really helps you with that bumping. So you've seen this on the channel a few times over the last couple of weeks. Stick in the belt loops, and we know when we bump, the stick goes up, body tilts back, no good. So we want to keep the stick going down and around when we're moving down. Look at how the upper body responds. See how it stays on top of the belt buckle? Then as we move through, it'll be just slightly behind, maintaining club path, but applying that power, like I've said recently. It's like you're bumping the hips down to some extent. You're squatting left almost. So stick going down and around is our goal. And absolutely, it's as simple as that. So I always recommend to do a couple like this. You start off with, just get your hand, your palm of your left hand, place it on the stick and just kind of move it down and around. You'll have this kind of exaggerated over the top move. You do that, don't worry, that won't get into your golf swing. But just to encourage you and get the feeling. So stick disappears down and around straight away, and that gets you bumping down and not bumping up. So you see there, lovely strike. Maybe a little bit too much turn on that one for me, but pretty good, just club faces a touch left. See there, for a smooth distance one, I was trying to go just as smooth as the other drills just to make sure it's in there, and I immediately got a little bit more distance, even with a smooth one. So that's where this is a really, really powerful move because it gets everything nicely in sequence. Club gets in front, you can apply that pressure down into the golf ball. So really good one. Okay, one more, down around, still nice and smooth. Oh, that felt lovely again, and again. Didn't feel like I went massively at that. And a good, nice swing. So guys, that's the drills. Have a good look at your own golf swing and see how you're doing there, what one this more applies to you. There is a link in the description for online lessons with myself as well, one-to-one work on Skillist if you need my help. But absolutely, once you get this right side ultimately at bay and get the left hip ultimately moving that downswing, keeping that downward move, the tilt staying down, that's going to be how you're going to get that 1% start of the downswing with the hips and start to see some much better golf shots straight away. Like even there, slight toe hip, again, straight on the green, nice rhythm. It's just the way to go every single time. Again, nice strike, dead on target. That's exactly what we want. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button for more golf instruction. Just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.